Hey everyone, thanks for joining episode of Play Games. My name is Lance, and today I'll teach you how to play Radiant Offline Battle Arena. This is a new game from Healed Turn Games. It is a two-player game that takes roughly 30 minutes to play and is a competitive head-to-head game. Please make sure that you have your Klingon text turned on, that way I can update you with any important information or rules corrections I need to make throughout the video. And if you have them on, you should have a small text that comes up on the bottom of the screen. As always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference, helps me to continue to grow and produce these videos. And if you want to stay updated on all my videos, also consider ringing that bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's head to the table, and I'll teach you guys how to play. So let's start off by taking a look at the heroes. So there'll be 9 heroes included in the base game, and more will be added through expansions. Each hero is going to have their own hero stat card, which is double-sided, with one side having their standard abilities on it, and the other side having their upgraded abilities. Each hero is also going to come with a deck of 10 skill cards. 3 of these skill cards will have 3 copies, and then each hero is going to have an ultimate skill card, which will have special powers on it that only can be used when the hero is upgraded or under other conditions, which I'll cover a little bit more later. At the top of each card is going to be the hero's name, and then along the side is the stats, which are attack, armor, hit points, and upgrade cost, and power tokens to upgrade that hero to their upgraded side. Along the side is going to be the subtitle of that hero, and this doesn't have any bearing on the game. It's simply there as flavor text. Underneath that is going to be keywords, and again, most of these don't have any bearing on the game currently, but can be used in future expansions, and some of them will, such as the Invoker, and I'll cover this a little bit more later. Underneath that is the hero's ability, and it's going to tell you when and how to use that. And then finally, the hero's class, and there are 3 different classes: the warrior class, which are attacking heroes, the tank class, which are defensive heroes, and the support class, which are going to buff heroes and heal and do other things. Each skill card is going to have a name at the top, and then some of the skill cards are going to provide combat bonuses, whether these are offensive, defensive, or both, and these will only be used when the card is played as a clash card in combat. Underneath that is the name of the hero the card is associated with, and this will only be used in deck construction and has no relevance on the game, as any hero can use any skill card. Underneath that is the card's ability, and there'll be 3 different types. There'll be triggered abilities that'll happen when they tell you to. There'll be clash abilities that'll be resolved as a clash in combat, and then talents, which will cost a number of action points, 1 or more, that's listed on the card. Once these are used, they're going to be discarded, and you will not add any combat bonuses unless the talent specifically says otherwise. Finally, there will be an ultimate card, and these will have specific abilities that will be triggered for deities and heroes that are upgraded, or if they have the divine keyword. Each item is going to have the name of the item on the top, along with the costs and power tokens a player must spend to purchase the item from a store and equip it to a hero. Then some of the items are going to provide boosts to hero stats that will be listed on the side, such as this one adding +1 to a hero's attack. Any keywords are going to be listed under there, and then the item's ability. Some abilities will affect a hero for the remainder of the game that it's attached to. Some items, such as equipped, will provide a hero with a one-time bonus, so you may draw 1 card, or will provide a hero with additional keywords. When equipping an item, you'll simply slide it underneath a hero and line up the different stats so you can easily calculate them. And each hero can only have 1 item equipped at a time. There are 2 identical sets of 5 deities included in the core game, and each player will receive one of these sets and secretly choose one deity to represent themselves. This is going to be kept hidden from their opponent until either they choose to manifest the deity or are forced to do so. Each deity will have a name at the top of the card, along with their stats, which again are the attack, defense, number of hit points, and then deities have a conduit icon, and this associates them with 3 specific conduits, and I'll show you this more in a minute. Keywords that are associated with the deity, and then their manifest ability, and this is only going to be resolved once when that deity is manifested. One other important note is if a deity is killed, then that player has lost immediately, as that is one of the goals of the game, is to eliminate your opponent's deity. In the final set of cards are the conduits, and each player is going to receive 3 of these based on the deity they've selected. Each conduit is going to have a consecrated side that's identical to all their conduits with the same name, same stats, and ability, and when a conduit receives enough damage to equal its health, then it'll be flipped over to its ruined side, and this is going to be a unique side with a unique name and ability that will only be triggered once when the conduit is ruined. Each conduit is also going to have 3 conduit icons, and these are going to be associated with the deities, When you select one, you'll match them up and select those conduits with the same icon. So with the Oracle, he has the crystal, so he would receive these three as each one of them has the crystal conduit icon on them. Moving into setup, there are two different options for the players. There's a quick setup and then a drafting setup. So in this video, I'm going to show you the drafting setup, as this is the one that's going to be mainly used for more competitive or tournament play. So with this one, the players are going to draft their heroes in a specific order. So first off, what you're going to do is start by randomly selecting one player to be the starting player, and you can do this in any manner you want. I will have the player up here be player A, and the player over here be player B. So then, starting with player A, he can choose one of the heroes that's out there to add to his team. So with that player, he's going to go ahead and take Viola. Then it would move over to player B to make his selection. So he's going to take Octavian. From here, then, the players have an optional step that they can choose to use, which is the ban. With the ban, they can eliminate each player can eliminate one hero from the selection that remains, starting with the player A and then moving over to player B. Now, each player can choose to ban one hero or not. It is totally up to that player. So moving back over to player A, he is going to ban that hero, and then moving over to player B, he's going to go ahead and ban that hero. So those heroes have been removed from the board and will not be used for this game. Then with the selection, player B has the next option to select a hero. So player B will take Corvus, and then it would move back over to player B or A to make his final two selections. So he's going to take Bran and Rin. And then player B will make his final selection, and he's going to take Eleanor. Now, the one important thing that I want to point out with this is that the rulebook does suggest having a balanced team of heroes that consists of one support unit, one tank, and one warrior. And now, as you get familiar with the game, you can choose to mix and match that if you're more of a defensive player or offensive player. With my game, I did set it up a little bit more skewed, where I have one player that's more defensive and one player that's more offensive. But you can do it any manner you want to, but the first couple games, it is suggested to have a balanced team, so just keep that in mind. Any remaining heroes can be removed from the board, as they won't be used for this, and then you can return the ban cards as well, as they won't be used anymore either. At this point, then, each of the players is going to be able to simultaneously finish off their construction of their decks. So I'm going to show you how this works with player B, and then I'll complete that with player A as well. From there, each player is going to receive a buyback card with the 5-side face up. Then each player is also going to have their complete deck of items and deities that matches the other player, as there is 2 complete identical sets included in the game, and same thing with the conduits. So with player B, he's going to go through and select 3 items from his selection items that he wants to add to his players. And with my player over here being more defensive, he probably wants to have some items that potentially will help with defense, but also give him a little bit more offense. So he's going to take Vial Infusion, the Thorn Plate, and the Crusader's Guard. Any items that the player does not take will be returned to the box and will not be used for this game. And each player can only have 3 items. And the items can be looked at any time by that player. But you want to keep all of these selections hidden from your opponent. So I'm going to place these face down. Then our player over here will select his deity, and he's going to select the monarchs. Any remaining will be returned to the box again and not used for this game. And then finally, the player is going to gather up his conduits that he needs for this, again matching the conduit icon of that. So he will get the Gift of the Elements, Smite, and Ancient Wisdom. These will, of course, be kept on their consecrated side so that the other player does not know what he selected. The monarch will be placed face down in his playing area, and then I'll move over and complete this with the other player real quick. Once both players have completed their selections, then we're ready to finish off the rest of setup. So at this point, each player is going to place out their divine conduits in each of the lanes, and there's 3 lanes in the game that each player will place one of their conduits in. And again, part of the strategy is placing the conduits in the order that you want, as each conduit will have its own special ability when ruined, so the players can kind of plan out how they want this to happen as well, and place those out however they want. Again, all the conduits will be placed with their consecrated side face up, so the other player does not know what they are. From there, then each player will go ahead and gather up their 3 heroes. the remaining cards, their 30 card deck, can be shuffled up and placed face down next to their board. Once they've completed this, each player can draw 5 cards to be their starting hands. You can also place out all the tokens you're going to be using, and for this video I'll be using a Crystal Fortress pod set. If you'd like to know more about these, there'll be a link in the description below to their website. Finally, starting with player A, each player is going to alternate placing one of their heroes out in one of the 3 lanes. And this is another part of the strategy, as the middle lane is the most versatile, as it is adjacent to both outer lanes, where the outer lanes are only adjacent to the middle lane and not each other. So the player or the hero that you place in the middle lane is very important, as it is going to be able to support the other 2 lanes. So that is going to be an important part of your selection. So then again, starting with player A, that player will choose one of their heroes to place out, and you can place one hero in each lane if you want to, or have more than one hero in one lane. Again, it is totally up to the player how he wants to play. So my player over here is going to start by placing Viola out. Player B will place Octavian. Then back to player A, who is going to place Braun out there. Player B is going to place Eleanor, and Ren will go in the middle, and Corvus is going to go on the ends. And again, like I said, you can stack up, so if I wanted to, I could have placed 2 heroes out in the middle and done it that way. Again, it is totally up to the players. At this point, each player should also have a quick reference guide, and then we're ready to start the game. Radiant Offline Battle Arena is played over an undefined number of turns, starting with the first player, and alternating, each player will activate and take their turn. During a player's turn, they have 3 phases that they'll do in order, which are the preparation phase, action phase, and end phase. And this is going to continue alternating turns between players until one of the endgame conditions is triggered, which is either one of the player's deities has been eliminated, or that player is required to draw a card from their draw pile and are unable to do so because that pile is empty. If either of these conditions are met, then the other player is the winning player. And if both players eliminate the opposite's deity at the same time, then it is the active player that wins the game. Moving into the game, starting with the first player, he's going to go ahead and start his turn with the preparation phase. During this phase, if there are any effects that trigger or expire after a player's turn begins, this happens now. For example, if a player has a hero that is out on the board that has the keyword invoker, such as support characters, and is not KO'd, then that player will generate 1 power. And it doesn't matter in the number of invoking character or heroes, you can only ever get 1 power in this way. So even if my player had multiple invokers out there, he would still only get 1 power. Once the player has finished with all of the conditions or effects that are resolved during this phase, then he will generate his 3 action points. The one exception to this is the starting player. The very first turn that player starts, that player will only get 2 action points for this round to compensate for the fact that he is the starting player. From that point on, all players will have 3 action points moving forward. The second phase in a player's turn is the action phase, and this is where the player is going to spend those action points to perform a variety of different actions. There are 5 basic actions, which are attack, recover, move, level up, and manifest, and each one of these is going to cost a single action point and can be done multiple times during the turn. The other option a player has is some skill cards will provide talents, and each talent will list the number of action points it costs to perform it. I'm going to take you through each one of these in more detail to show you how they work, but before I do, there's a couple of key concepts I'd like to cover. The first is with heroes, and heroes can be in 2 different states. They can be in a readied state, which currently all of the heroes are in their readied state and are ready for combat and being able to block. The other state that a hero can be in is a committed state, and this is going to happen after a hero attacks or after a hero blocks. And with this, you're going to turn the hero 90 degrees to represent that they are in a committed state. Now, committed heroes are going to be vulnerable to attack, as they are not as good at combat at this point and are not allowed to attack or block in a committed state. The other key concept I'd like to cover is with power. There are 3 different ways the players are going to gain power throughout the game. The first is, as you already saw with the invoker keyword, as long as the hero is out, you'll gain 1 power during that first phase of a player's turn. The second way is to eliminate or KO an enemy hero. Each time you do this, you'll gain 2 power tokens per enemy hero that is eliminated by your player. And the third way is ruining a divine conduit of an opponent's. Each time you do this, you'll receive 1 power token. The first action I'll look at is an attack action. In order for a player to perform an attack action, they're going to spend one of their action points and then select one of the lanes that they have one or more readied heroes in. From there, then they're going to select the number of heroes that they wish to commit to combat, and if you have more than one hero in a lane that you wish to commit, you do not have to spend additional action points to do so. So for my player here, he's going to choose the lane with Braun in it, and then he's going to commit that hero for the attack. One important keynote with this is that an attack that includes one attacking hero is considered a solo attack, and an attack that has more than one attacking hero is a team attack. The first step in combat is determining participants. So the hero or heroes that took the attack action become the attackers, so Braun is the attacker in this combat. Then the attacking player chooses the target of the attack. This can either be an enemy hero or conduit at the same location. So with Braun, he could choose to attack Corvus or the divine conduit that is at this location. So with our player, he's going to go ahead and choose Corvus for his target. Once that is declared, then the opposing player declares any blocks or if he is going to block. So for example, let's go ahead and say that Braun chose to attack the conduit instead. If I had a readied hero here, then I could choose to step up with that hero and perform a block action. At that point, then that hero would be committed and would take the place of the divine conduit as the defender. If you have multiple heroes at the same location, you can only choose one readied hero to be the blocker. And if a hero is the target of the attack, they cannot choose to block their own attack. The second step in combat is the clash, and this step only occurs if all the participants in the combat are heroes, including deities. There is no clash step during combats in which the defender is a conduit. In these situations, you would simply skip straight to step 3, resolution. In my example, all of the participants are heroes, so I will resolve a clash step. To start out, the attacking player is going to select one of his attacking heroes to play a clash, and this is only going to affect a single attacking hero. In my example, Braun is the only attacking hero, so he may select one card to be his clash. And this is an optional step. The players both do not have to choose to play a clash card if they don't want to. So as you can see here, this is the cards that my player has, and so he's going to select Daredevil and place this face down next to his hero. Then the defending player is going to do the same thing. Again, this is optional. The defending player does not have to play a clash card, so he is also going to do so though, and play it face down. Once both players have done this, then they are going to simultaneously reveal their cards, placing them face up. Then starting with the attacking player, he's going to resolve any clash effects on the bottom of the card. So with Daredevil, it says that if this hero is attacking, you may recover them. So we'll go ahead and recover Braun and turn him. And then it says during the combat's resolution, you're going to double the attack of all cards clashed by enemy heroes. So it's going to double the effect of the attack on any cards that the defending heroes play. Once that's done, then the defending player will resolve any effects on his card. So the 1,000 Drills, this card gains +2 to the attack or defense. So with Corvus being on defense and having a fair number of hit points coming at him, he's going to go ahead and add the +2 to the defense value. So that'll move it up to 3. The third and final step in combat is the resolution step. And to begin this step, if the defending hero is committed, then you're going to reduce their attack value to 0. So with Corvus, if he had been committed, then his attack value on his card would be 0. This does not affect any clash cards that he played, which can raise that above 0 again later in this step. From here then, both of the players are going to total up all of their stats, adding any clash bonuses that they have. And with the attacking hero, if there was additional heroes in that combat, then they would add their attack value to it as well. Now, only one attacking hero is going to benefit from any clash card bonuses or effects that are played in that turn. So if, for example, we would have had Ren in there as well, she would have only added her attack strength to the attack and would not have added this to hers on top of adding it to Braun. So let's go ahead and start with Braun first. So we have the 2 points from Daredevil that are going to be added to his base attack value of 2. So he's going to have an attack value of 4. Then moving over to the Defender, his attack value is going to be 2. This is going to double the attack value there to 2. So it's going to be 4 for his attack. and then he did add the +2 defense to this, which is going to bump that up to 3, so his defense will be 3. Then the attacking player will deal his damage first, and the defending player's defense is 3 versus the attack of 4, so Corvus is going to take 1 wound. Then the defending player will return and choose one of the attacking heroes that he wishes to attack. In this situation, Braun is the only attacking hero, so he's going to take 4 damage as he doesn't have any defensive value for this. The one other important note with this is that if, for example, Braun had been able to defeat Corvus, Corvus would still be able to do all of his attack damage to an attacking hero. Attacks are done simultaneously, so even if a hero is eliminated, they will still get to deal out their damage. From there, then, if a hero is eliminated or KO'd, then the opposing player is going to receive 2 power tokens for each hero that has been eliminated. Finally, unless a clash card specifically says otherwise, all of its effects come to an end and the cards are removed and added to the player's discard piles. The recover action is going to allow you to recover one of your heroes that is committed, and this can even be done in the same turn that you commit a hero. So for example, if our player had chosen to attack with Ren, committing her during the previous action, then this next action he could choose to recover her, bringing her back to a readied state. With the level up action, you're going to select one of your heroes and reference their experience cost and pay that number in power points to level that character up, flipping them over, and if the hero is committed, you also can recover that hero. So again, let's go ahead and say, for example, that my player had 3 power tokens, and he wished to level up Rin. He's going to reference her experience cost, which is 3, so he's going to pay those 3 tokens, adding them back to the general pool, and then he will flip her over. And on top of that, if, say, for example, Rin was committed, he would also recover her as he levels her up. And the final basic action is Manifest, and this can only be taken by an out-of-play deity, so at most each player is only going to be able to do this once per game. In order to go into more detail about this, first I need to talk about Manifestation. So at the beginning of the game, most deities are going to start out of play face down in their owner's home. Throughout the game, the owning player can choose to either take this manifest action to bring their deity out, or they're going to be forced out if that player's 3 conduits have been ruined. As soon as the 3rd conduit has been ruined and the player has resolved any effects of that conduit being ruined, then they must manifest their deity and bring them out. The one thing I want to point out is that this is the main objective of the game, is to destroy your opponent's deity, so choosing when to bring your deity out is very important, or if you're able to ruin your 3 opponent's conduits and force your deity out, then you can actually start working on them and trying to destroy them. So bringing out a deity is a very important step in a player's strategy and should not be chosen lightly. So in either situation, when a player chooses to bring a deity out or it's forced to be brought out, the player is going to reveal that deity and then choose one of the 3 lanes to place the deity in. Once he's chosen the lane, then that player must banish one of their 3 starting heroes, the heroes that they started the game with. So if a player gains control over an enemy hero, they cannot choose to banish that hero. And this hero can even be a hero that has been KO'd. Once the player has chosen a hero, so let's say that my player chooses Rin, that hero is banished from the game and will not be able to return to the game by any means. Once that is done, then the player will resolve any manifestation effects on the card. So with the Oracle, you would draw 3 cards for the owning player. Talent actions will be found on some heroes, items, and skill cards. In order to perform a talent, you'll simply pay the action points that the talent requires and then resolve the effects of it. Talents that are on items must be equipped to a hero in order to use that talent. Talents that are on skill cards will be used one time and then discarded unless the card says otherwise. And talents on heroes can be used any number of times as long as you can pay the costs and action points to do so, and unless that talent has a cooldown special keyword, at which point then you can only use that talent once per turn. Once a player has no more actions they can take or chooses not to perform any more actions, then they will pass and end their action phase. At this point, then they'll move into the final phase of their turn, which is the end phase, and this phase has 3 steps. The first step is Revive. So during the Revive step, players have 2 options to return their KO'd heroes to play. They can either choose to do a buyback or a mass resurrect, and I'm going to take you through both of these. So first off, each player is going to start the game with a buyback card that has the number 5 up. During this phase, the player can spend 5 power tokens that they have to use the buyback card, flipping it face down, and then bringing back one of their KO'd heroes, placing them back in a lane of their choice. This can only be done for one hero, even if you have more power tokens and could pay that multiple times. You can only do this once. And you can only use the buyback token or card one time as well. Once it's face down, you cannot use it anymore. The other option players have is the mass resurrection, and this will revive all of their players' KO'd heroes. Now, the important thing with this is that they can only be used on KO'd heroes that have already been KO'd and not heroes that have been KO'd during their current round. In order to do this, the player is going to ruin one of their conduits, and if a player has no consecrated conduits remaining, then they cannot pay this cost and therefore can no longer use the mass resurrection. After paying the cost of ruining one of their consecrated conduits, the player revives all eligible KO'd heroes that they control. Remember, heroes who were KO'd during the turn in which the mass resurrection was used are not eligible for this. And if multiple heroes are revived at once, they may be placed in different locations or the same location. If you revive all 3 heroes, you may put all 3 in different locations if you wish. The second step in the end phase is the shop step, and during this step, if the player has enough power tokens, they can choose to spend those to buy items from their shop and equip them to heroes. So let me show you an example of this. Let's say that I had 3 power tokens, and then I can take a look at the items that I have in my shop. So as you can see here, I have the ruined hammer, a rune hammer that costs 3 tokens. So I'm going to spend these and reveal this card to my opponent, and then choose one of my heroes to equip it to. So let me say that I'll add it to this hero here, and then I will also resolve any effects on the card if it has any effects when equipped. Now, each hero can only ever have one item, so if a hero already has an item and you wish to equip a different item to it, you're going to discard the item that they currently have. And if a hero is KO'd, the item will go with them, and when they come back out, the item will return with them. So they will never lose the item by being KO'd. The third and final step in the end phase is the draw step. During this step, the player is going to draw the top skill card and add it to their hand. Then if that player has more than 7 cards in their hand, they're going to choose which card to discard until they have a maximum of 7 cards in their hand. Any remaining action points that the player has at this point are lost without any effect. And then if the player has any effects that are triggered or expire at the end of the player's turn, then these happen now. At this point, the active player's turn is over and their opponent's turn is going to start with their preparation phase. Players are going to continue alternating turns until one of the 2 endgame conditions is met. Either one of the players is able to defeat the other player's deity, in which case that player will be the winning player, or if a player has to draw a card and their draw pile is empty, at that point then their opponent is going to win the game as well. Now that I've covered all the rules, I want to take you through a couple of example turns. So again, starting with the first player to take his turn. So the preparation phase, the player does have an invoker, so he is going to gain 1 power token. And then because this is the very first turn of the game, and this is the first player's turn, he will only get 2 actions this turn to compensate for the fact that he's going first. Moving into the action phase, he's going to spend his first action to perform a combat action against the other player, using Viola. And she does have a special ability that says that if she gets +3 attack while she is a solo attacking an enemy hero. So she's going to choose to attack Octavian, and then she is going to commit her hero. At this point, then she will go ahead and select a card to play. So we'll use this one. And then our opposing player, the defender, can choose a card to play. So he's going to play this one. Both players will reveal their cards, and neither one of the cards have any clash effects. So we won't resolve anything there, and we'll move into the final phase, resolution. So each player is going to total up all of their bonuses and then compare as they attack. So Viola has 2 plus her 3 there for 5, plus the 2 that her clash bonus gives her for a total of 7, and she has 1 defense. Octavian has 4 and 3 defense. So her 7 to his 3 is going to do 4 points of damage to Octavian, so he'll take 4. And then he has 4 attack coming back against Viola, and she has the 1 defense, so she'll take 3 points of damage. There isn't any other effects to resolve, so then these will be discarded to the player's discard piles. The second action my player is going to take is a recover to recover that hero. At this point, I don't have any more actions, so then I'll move into the end phase. I don't have anybody to recover yet, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have enough power tokens to shop, and so I will go ahead and do my draw phase, where I'm going to draw the top card and add it to my hand. I don't have more than 7 cards, so I don't have to worry about that. And so my phase is done, and we'll move over to the other player's turn. So again, during this player's turn, I have an invoker, so I'm going to gain a power token. And then that player has 3 action points, so he is going to move into the action phase where he's going to choose what to do. So my player is going to start out by playing Horrify, which has a talent that he's going to spend to do. So this one says that I can commit an enemy hero at this location, and then after your action phase ends, they're going to recover. So I'm going to go ahead and commit Brawn, and then I will do my second action, so I'm going to go ahead and attack with Corvus. Brawn is already committed, so I'm going to go ahead and choose to attack the conduit. And there aren't any heroes that can block for that, so then I will go straight into resolution, and my hero is going to do 2 damage to the conduit. And Corvus is an attacking hero, so I also have to commit him. This will be discarded. And then my last action, I'm going to go ahead and recover him. And then at the end of the action phase, that player's hero will also recover. Moving into the end phase, the player doesn't have anybody to recover yet. He doesn't have enough points to shop, and so he will simply draw 1 card and add it to his hand. And again, he doesn't have more than 7 cards, so he doesn't do anything there. From there, it'll move back over to my first player. Well, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I take into account everything you guys say to make the best possible videos. And if you find this video helpful, if you like what I do, please consider that like button, subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference, helps me to continue to grow and produce these videos. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.